from the Korean. I'm to chapter 3, which is Imran, and verses 86 to 189. It mostly deals with a responsibility of a Muslim to increase spirituality. It talks about how we're not supposed to be friends with Christians, Jews, or unbelief. And it goes on to say how they won't love you anyway. You will cause yourself harm by being around them. And that we should display virtuous conduct ourselves. That we should advocate morality and to forbid evil. So how can we do that? What is evil? I tried to remember what I had experienced growing up, and one of those was exposure to people wanting to steal. I knew someone who announced that they intended to, and all I did was just tell them not around me, because I had been exposed to someone else who just stole, and it messes up your life whether you are the one that does it or not. You're knowledgeable and you get a record. So that's how I forbid how I have learned to deal with it. Then there's when you're exposed to people using drugs and alcohol, you really need to decide what kind of message to give them, whether to ignore it, to say something, and how there's legislation you can get involved in as far as passing it. And one of the things I had to deal with was child abduction. I wondered, how in the world can you stop that evil from happening? I read that every year there's hundreds of thousands of children abducted, and usually they're about age 13. Often it's by a family member. So the only thing I know to do is to attempt to build faith, because if you believe in God, you just wouldn't do that. It covered the topic about how God protects, and in verse 122 it says, "Put trust in God, He protects you," and in verse 173, He's an excellent protector. So how does He do that? And one way is through an immunity system we all have. Another is fight versus flight reactions. We get goose pimples, and we quickly decide what we're going to do, exposed to danger. Also, that our body heals itself. We have 3 layers of skin, 2 sets of teeth. That if we cut our hair, it can regrow. Even our own hearing and smelling. I had exposure to disease, and for a while I lost those, both hearing and smell, and it just healed itself. It was amazing. But beyond that, how is a religious person protected, which is different from the entire community? And that is through other righteous people. The fact that you can trust somebody, fidelity, and you should be able to have a promise be kept. The last couple of lines in this section talked about how we'll be tested for covering our possessions and the people we know, and that God has power over all things. So I just said I'd read the exact line. It's chapter 3, verses 104. It says, "And let there be arising from you a nation inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong, and that is true success."